Welcome to the Everyday Fitness and Wellbeing podcast, where today I speak to personal trainer, life coach and endurance athlete Peter Dudley. We cover tales of hedony, excess, loss and crossing the desert, all within a life story that's light years away from food photos and handstands. So have a listen to the colourful world, edited that is, of PT Pete. We are back again now, another much longer podcast this time, because I really wanted to get, I know we're talking about the marathon again to start with.
Well, we've got the marathon coming up, haven't we? We've got the London Marathon coming up in just a few days' time on Sunday the 23rd. And it's the London one, and obviously I did the London one.
Exactly.
So it seemed like a perfect chat to talk about.
Perfect sense. So go on then, take it away. When did you do your London Marathon?
So do we want the whole story?
Yeah, why
well,
not?
I can edit it myself verbally.
Okay. In fact, let's backtrack first of all and really introduce you to the listeners, because we've done a couple of podcasts.
Yeah, okay.
And I know you, we work together.
Yeah.
So, Pete, tell us a bit more about you. Who are you? What's your background? Then we'll meander into...
All right, so Pete, otherwise known as PT Pete, which is a monocle that I kind of gave myself in about 2006, I think PT Pete was born. Although I'd been involved in the fitness industry since 94, so I got qualified in 94.
Okay. Whereabouts in the UK?
I got qualified through Premier Fitness, and they were back in the day when they were only based in Wiltshire.
Okay.
My family live in Wiltshire, so there was two major training houses. Well, three major routes you could go, kind of back in. I can say back in the day now because
of course.
I'm old enough to say it, and it literally was back in the day. In '93, when I was considering it, I looked at there was Premier Fitness, which were a new company on the block.
Okay.
There was YMCA, who were relatively well established, and then there was obviously you could do a degree. I didn't want to do a degree because the degree at the time was more sports science.
Of course, yes.
And that wasn't really geared to personal training, which I'd looked at. My mum basically sent me an article about personal training. I'd been selling cars and drawing antiques and had a cleaning business up in London up to that point. Did various different office jobs since leaving school. So it was cars, antiques, office jobs, all sorts of things.
Very much different.
Quite random. Yeah, exactly. But I've always been involved in fitness, cycling and martial arts, and
actually, I'll stop you there only briefly. That background of working with people and being able to interact with people, that must have been a transferable
yeah. I mean, and it was all sales.
Right.
I was in sales.
Okay.
So it was sales, car sales, jewellery sales, antique sales. So I was thrust into London life at a young age, and had to deal with people much older than me. So I kind of had to maybe grow up a little bit mentally and verbally to, suddenly I was in the antique business and I was like 17, dealing with people who were 40, 50, 60 plus. That was my market. No, not at all.
Small town or?
Well, Brighton.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
But I knew somebody who knew someone who knew a dealer up in London who also owned half the lanes in Brighton at the time. He was a major player, and I wanted to work in London, and I got it through that. But I was always keeping fit. I was always training. I was always riding my bike everywhere, and then basically it came to a natural kind of conclusion with my job. And my mum sent me an article. Who was a qualified nutritionist?
Okay, right.
Sent me an article on this personal trainer, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And this is '93. We'd only maybe faintly heard of personal trainers in London or even maybe in America.
Yes, of course.
For the rich and for the famous.
Exactly, I
and I thought, well, this sounds interesting. And so off the back of that, Mum was like, you could use your fitness and your enthusiasm for fitness and your martial arts and your cycling and maybe try and qualify yourself and pass on your knowledge and your people skills. I mean, that's ultimately why I obviously moved into fitness, because of I like hanging out with
transferable
people.
skills, talking with people,
chit chat.
Yeah.
So I bowled myself off, and Wiltshire I chose Premier, one reason because they were kind of a new progressive fitness company. They did exactly the qualification that I wanted. It was no frills. It was 3-4 months solid 8-9 hour days, really intense, which is what I wanted to. I didn't want to do a degree, and it was down in Wiltshire, so they were about 5 miles away from where my family lived. So I just stayed with my family, so that saved all that costing of the hotels and stuff like that while you're down there, because it was a full-time course.
Yeah, sure.
So got qualified, came back to Brighton. Well, I spent a bit of time down in Bath, then came back to Brighton, got a job pretty quickly in Brighton with a club in Brighton. Learnt my trade
On the job
for a fitness instructor, as I was, while I decided how I was going to bring personal training, because I was pretty well. I mean, back in the day, and I can say back in the day again. I don't want to say it too many times. But we remember the yellow pages, don't we?
Oh God,
we remember the yellow pages.
Yes,
that was the go-to Bible for wanting and needing anything, wasn't it? This was way before.
I remember paying for
and I thought
£300 for an ad.
Well,
very small,
this is it.
cheap.
This
ad.
was it, and I thought I'm going to advertise in the yellow pages. And I remember ringing up the yellow pages and then saying, "Hi, I'm a personal trainer." They're like, "Who? What?" I said, "I could." They said, "Well, we don't have a. Is it gyms?" I said, "Well, not really." So they actually gave me my own header. They actually created personal fitness trainer.
Yeah.
And then put me under it.
Excellent.
So I literally, one
claim to fame.
One little claim to fame was I was the, but it was a waste of money. I mean, I spent £1,000 on that advert, and I got literally no phone calls, because ultimately no one looked up the yellow pages for personal training, because personal training wasn't big enough to suddenly scour who's the personal trainer. So, but live and learn on personal training. So I learned my trade, then I went self-employed. And then I kind of went down.
Self-employed how?
But I freelance. So I picked up some clients from the gym I was working at.
Okay.
Picked up the husband of one of my clients in the gym, who was like my first major client, who I trained quite a few times a week.
Okay.
Very wealthy property developer. And then I advertised outside, like the local rag, the local paper, and then flyering. Did loads of that, and and built up a business that way. And then obviously I did boxercise and circuits. I was one of the very first boxercise instructors in Brighton, and then I had a really successful boxercise business all over the south, probably up to Gatwick and pretty well every single club in Brighton. So that was that while I was doing personal training. And
so you continued with personal training, and you added group exercise as well, classes.
Yeah. So I was doing 10-12 classes a week.
I've been there.
And I was all over the place.
A lot of classes.
I was going up to Gatwick, I was going up to past Gatwick, Copthorne, which is past Gatwick. I had a class in Copthorne, Gatwick, with Dean. All the gyms are Brighton. I was doing about 10. I mean, probably too much, I think. And then I was doing my personal training around that. I also had clients in Worthing, had clients in Eastbourne. Right. I mean, I was driving around.
So was this, because I was criticised for using a similar model when I lived in East Anglia, because there was a market for those that didn't like gyms and for home visits, or they just wanted to train outdoors. They didn't want the gym environment, but they were looking for a personal trainer. This isn't as early as the 90s, late 90s as you're saying, but the reason I mention that is that I'm familiar with the amount of downtime and travel time that a lot of personal trainers have put off.
Well, I was really busy, but I wasn't financially really busy. Do you know what I mean? I was literally going from Eastbourne to Burgess Hill to Brighton, 2 classes, and I was like, wow, my day was super busy, but it wasn't very time constructive. I mean, I kind of realised.
We learned these
relatively early on that I think I did that for a good couple of years, and then I went to America. I trained over there. I went down to south of France for 6 months with my best mate Joe.
Okay.
And then me and Joe opened up our own fitness studio in Hove.
Excellent.
Which is one of the very first personal training gyms over in Church Road in Hove, called Evolution. We set that up. He's the guy I do the YouTube channel with.
Okay.
So
Church Road, that would have been quite expensive.
Well, again, it was this is a whole other story. My girlfriend at the time, it was a big sort of beauty salon in this huge house over there. There's huge homes in Church Road.
Right.
Many of them are rest homes, actually. Funny enough, that's why they're so big. But this was a beauty salon, and my girlfriend at the time knew the owner of it. We had a massive spare room, and said, it'd be interesting to have a fitness facility here. So we did a deal.
Yeah, fair enough.
Unfortunately, it didn't work because the woman in question, who won't be listening to this, so it doesn't matter because it was a long time ago, didn't get permission to run a fitness facility in the room I was using. So
I don't know what the categories are. I know with say
it
food,
was
A1
D2 and whatever it was, but
yeah.
basically, long story short, me and Joe built a successful 9 months, and then we pretty well got closed down because unfortunately the woman next door,
oh my god, the comings and
could
goings.
hear the treadmill.
Oh, right.
And unfortunately, and unbeknown to us, the woman who owned the business, the business I was in, had upset her next door neighbour. So I think this next door neighbour was almost looking for anything to cause an issue. And as it turned out, this woman didn't even have a license to be running her business on site as well as my site. So, maybe long story short, fortunately there wasn't too much financials involved. It was just like one of those, right, that was a lesson learned. And
so what on earth did you do with your business?
Well, basically we couldn't do it because these council guys came in and shut us down, said you can't stop trading anymore. I mean, they are powerful, these people. They shut you down, bang.
Yeah.
So me and Joe were like,
you can't operate here.
Well, we couldn't
operate anywhere
because we had an amazingly good deal with this thing, so we couldn't find a facility or a room or a space close enough to get our membership base.
Yeah.
Close. There's no point in us opening miles away because the people that came to us lived within maybe a mile.
And part of the reason why you were successful
was because we're in Hove and it was quiet and it wasn't it wasn't busy. Parking was easy.
Yeah.
We couldn't get a place quick enough. There wasn't a place
unless you were going to go on an industrial estate. I suppose.
And basically it didn't happen. It just there's no way we couldn't do it. There wasn't a facility. There wasn't a premises, and then we would have struggled to have got any. The finances to do it because we needed a big place.
Yeah.
So I went and got a job at a sports nutrition company selling protein shakes and powders, and I was a sports advisor.
Okay.
And Joe just had to get a job. He just got a job doing. We both initially left there with like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And we both ended up doing some telesales.
Yeah,
which was horrible.
You do what you have to do.
Which was horrible. We ended up selling websites to businesses. This was like early stage website. I mean, we're talking 98, 99, 99.
Yeah, around 99.
99. It was horrible.
Really
anyway,
yeah.
I saw a job for a sports nutrition role, selling sports nutrition, powders, protein shakes and stuff like that. And so I got the job there. Had
somewhere like Holland and Barrett or something, or
it was a private. It was like sports. It was a private independent business.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That sold their own deals on. And again, this was like before the sports nutrition market went ballistic. So these guys were kind of like early stage.
It was always bubbling anyway because there was
you had
the throwback.
Well, you had Weeder. You remember Weeder?
Yes, of course.
I mean, this was selling. Some products that were kind of like really quite specialised. And I was taken on board as a.
But it was still underground, whole bodybuilding.
It was, yeah, exactly. And we had a magazine, we had a mailing list, had like thousands of people that we sent out the products to, and we sold sort of cutting edge American products that were just starting to come over to the UK. The boss had the sort of exclusive rights on these. It was only maybe half a dozen brands, and we were the PTs. Ultimately, he hired PTs to offer fitness advice along with purchasing the products.
Right.
That was his customer service. The phones are manned not just by salespeople, they are manned by salespeople who are fitness people. So when you ring up and say, can I buy this protein shake? By the way, when do I take it? And how do I take it?
Yeah.
And so we will be able to...
you were making the sale.
Yeah, we were making the sale. And we were just...
Were there products of any quality? And you mentioned your mother was a nutritionist.
Yeah, the products, they were the top products at the time.
At the time
they were the top products.
Sure.
They were the scientifically tested blah 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 products.
Sure. Was it a case of just money, or did you believe in I've got my own views on supplements.
It was a job that was semi-connected to fitness because obviously I was fitness, and I didn't necessarily want to just go back into. I didn't want to go back to just being a fitness instructor again. I would have, but this job came up. I was just didn't quite know what to do.
Exactly. Sure.
I was in a slight limbo, but this came up, and I thought it seemed like an interesting opportunity. They had connections with America.
Yeah, of course.
Again, and that was something that evolved. Basically, the role ended.
How long? And what sort of time frame was this? Because you said you did about 9 months.
99 into 2000.
Into 2000 with the telesales.
So
yeah.
I'm going to build up to the London Marathon, don't worry.
Okay, no, just...
So I left there, and because I met a girl who had an idea of opening a sex shop.
Pause. The turn of 2000.
Yeah, so
the noughties, the start of the
noughties, and
talking of naughty,
nice link, Sean, nice link. So I met a girl, and I had kind of already got the connections to go back to America.
Right. Okay. Which part of America? Do you remember? This
would have been Houston this time. I was in California before.
Okay.
This connection was in Houston, Texas. Met this girl. She had this idea of opening a really kind of upmarket sex shop for women.
Okay, just for women.
Just for women.
Oh, okay.
So, and anyway, so she'd had all the designs, she had all the ideas,
mm-hmm.
and it seemed like an awesome project. I had said that I wanted to go to the States. We had a summer of love.
Mm-hmm.
Even got her name tattooed on my ankle, which is now covered up. As you can put her name under
right,
there.
It's under there?
It's under the star.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a star.
Right.
Her name was on that. So it was a summer of love. She we mutually convinced me not to go to the States and get involved with the sex shop.
Instead, well, there you are.
Well, and I thought, why not? And ultimately I wanted to be with her. So
yeah.
We opened up the shop, and
this is here in Brighton?
Yeah, it's in Brighton.
Is it still here, is it?
Yeah, it's going it's phenomenally. It's very successful.
Oh, okay. Sex sells, carry on.
It does. So for 2.5 years, it was pretty well party, gallery openings, restaurants, fashion shows, more partying.
Right.
Not a lot of personal training happened within this time. It was a very hedonistic 2.5 years, I just say.
And different types of products compared to the nutritional products.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. It was not protein powders, put it that way.
So you partied hard.
Very hard. Relationship came to an end. Just at 2003, the end of 2003. My dad was seriously ill at the time.
Oh, right.
Also. And I moved in with him, and I looked after him.
Okay.
He passed away only a few months after that. He smoked loads and just generally wasn't a very fit chap.
Right. Were you close?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were close. Yeah. So that was that time, but I was already partying a lot up to that point, and then life took I had basically access to cash and continued to party and not work.
Even after his death, then.
More so.
Okay, right. This galvanised the party.
So and this pretty well went on until.
So we're at 2003 now.
Yeah. Passed away in March 2004. Party. Met a girl, another girl. Party. Finished. Ran out of money. Circa 2006. Kind of needed to get back onto the work because I've been partying since '99 anyway. So this was continuation. Kind of tried to get back onto the normality of life a little bit. I bought a property in Cyprus. It all went completely wrong.
Right.
I was promised a load of money and it went wrong, and the guy did me out of like a huge bunch of cash, which I was relying on because I'd already spent all my cash, and I'm not even going down that route. But basically, I ended up with nothing, and so I thought, well, I needed to get and I'd kind of got my head together at this point. I had quite a bad time, and then I kind of, through self-medication, I'd got myself kind of better really, but I was there was nothing going on, so I kind of
through self-medication. So I'm going to
just partying.
So you were right, okay. I got lost, but so quite a yo-yo of a lot of excess, a lot of partying, and then
it was rock and roll, pure rock and roll. Nothing more
enough.
than that. It was pure rock and roll.
Right, but you ran out of cash.
Yeah, I did.
And the Hedony came to an end.
It did really, and mentally I had to. And I then got a job up in London, working for a really high-end London club, just to get my head back into gear. So I worked for the Harbour Club in Chelsea, which was a super exclusive club. Worked there for a bit. And then I worked for Virgin Group for a little bit, and then I
Had you maintained your fitness throughout?
yeah. I'd always
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. So you were.
I had a mentor in the world of partying who told me one time. He said, "Dear boy," he was a very wealthy, well-spoken chap who pretty well partied forever. He said, "Do you know the true meaning of hedonism?" I went, "No." He says, "Well, the true hedonist never lets his partying interfere with his health, because the true hedonist wishes to party forever."
There we are. So that's a takeaway for the listeners, is it?
That's a takeaway.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I didn't obliviate. I mean, I did party hard, but I was always aware, very body aware, very physically aware. So I did keep myself relatively fit. A lot more weight training, probably more than cardio, which is a key factor for the next few years. So it was very much weight training related. I was very lean. Mm-hmm. I had a nickname of Hamilton after George Hamilton because I spent a lot of time in sunbeds. So I looked awesomely fit, but
Right.
but I was not particularly fit inside.
So you're one of the glamorous, beautiful people.
I was a very glamorous, beautiful person, but internally I was Johnny Rotten.
Right.
Externally I was, Liberace and Elvis, but internally I was Johnny Rotten.
Can you look back and... I'm not going to talk about regret. I'm going to talk about, do you feel that you learnt there's a lot of positives from there?
I don't take any... A lot of people ask me that, and when I've told the full story.
Yeah, sure, of course.
And I'm like, no, I take it... if it was the time... what I did was what I did.
Yeah.
Everybody can look back and go, I wish I didn't do that, I wish I didn't do that. But when you do what you do at that time, you're doing it generally in that moment.
Of course.
You're not thinking about it, you're just doing it, your headspace, I did that because I did that. Mm. And all the things I did at the time seemed the right things to do.
Okay.
And that's it. And ultimately, if I look back, I was really, really, really depressed and down, and ultimately I didn't want the money that I'd been left. And I wanted my dad.
Yeah.
So I just spent money making myself happy. I bought loads. I built a Bentley. I bought cars, jeeps, watches, holidays, girlfriends. Put money in girlfriends' bank accounts. Bought myself watches. Sold the watches. Had to sell the watches. Had to sell the cars back again. Bought a flat in Cyprus. That didn't work. I mean, I was doing loads of stuff.
Yeah.
But it,
busy.
but I was buying stuff to make myself happy. But I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't. It was second-hand cars. They weren't like fortunes.
When did you realise that, or is it just growing up now and looking back that you can identify that those were the reasons? I mean,
I kind of look back. I look back, probably it wasn't that many years ago. I mean, it wasn't that many. It was probably in the sort of 2011, 2012, when I was completely sorted, as it were. That I then could look back and go, you know what, and then having spoken to more people over since. And having those times happened, and then talking to other people that maybe had other times, realizing that wow, you know what, I was really down, and I've had people saying, you know why you did that, don't you? So I've had so having other people saying, you did that because of that reason. I was like, actually, you know what, and I remember having a whole bunch of cash in the bank, Bentley outside, and I couldn't wake up. I didn't want to get up. I just literally didn't. My girlfriend went off. She was doing college. And I was lying in bed, and I thought, externally, it looks like I've got everything that I want.
Yeah.
I've got a big fat bank account. I've got a car that I always wanted. And it was a second-hand thing, but and I had bought myself a big TV with a sound system, but I didn't want to get up. I just had no motivation to get up. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had no. All my motivation had gone to be because in one way. Having a bunch of cash takes the motivation away in a way, because suddenly, it wasn't like millions or anything like that, and also I was really down, and I was partying, which didn't help as well.
And so you found yourself at the end when the cash all ran out. You found yourself in Chelsea still.
Yeah, so I got myself a job in London, and I was living with a girl. I moved in with her because all my money had run out, so I moved in with her. And made excuses why I had to move in with her, and so shouldn't have really done it, but I had nowhere else to go.
Sure.
So I was living with her, kind of rent free, trying to do this job in London, but it didn't really work out. And in the end, it just didn't work out. I just wasn't right. I still wasn't quite ready to do this thing, and there wasn't enough money, to be honest. And then life was still quite messy. I mean, I was still dealing with stuff. And I basically didn't do that job, split up from that girlfriend, staying with some friends' floor, and this is when life took another turn. Literally, I ended up staying with my best mate's floor. I didn't want to stay with him anymore, and then he used to drop me off to that Brighton every morning in his car, and I used to go to Starbucks with my rucksack on and pretend, and I had enough money for a coffee every day, and I just spent there all day, and he thought I worked, but I didn't. I brushed my teeth in the Starbucks toilet.
Right.
I lived, that was my little place.
Right.
And we did that every day for a few weeks, and then in the end I said to Joe, I can't keep taking up your floor anymore. I said, and I made out that I'd got something sorted in Brighton, and I hadn't.
Right.
I hadn't anything sorted at all. I had no money on my phone, and I was literally due to be homeless.
At this time, we're looking.
This was 2007.
2007.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, practically.
Yeah.
Homeless.
Well, I was. For that night, I had a client who I was supposed to have trained the next day, who paid me cash, and I'd been let down for this place to stay in Brighton, and it'd all gone wrong basically. I had no money on my phone. It was about 9 p.m. at night. I was in Brighton station, and I was thinking, right, how the hell did I get here? But the catalogue of events, I'm a clever guy. I've got a close family, but pride I kept every time. Every time my mum rang, I was like, everything's all right. Yeah, everything's fine, Mum. Just didn't say anything, Just
Sure.
kept it to myself. And anyway, the most randomness thing happened, and I've always had that. This is my dad helped me out here.
So no job.
No job in Brighton.
Got PT.
5p on my phone. Nowhere to go. Friends were living, in Stenning and in farther reaches of, I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Some of my friends were all over in Eastbourne and Chichester. So, and there was a group of friends that had all fallen out through this breakup and stuff. It was all a bit messy.
Sure.
So I went to Brighton Station, and I thought, right, okay, well, I'll spend a night here, and then I decided that when I got the money off of my client the next day, I was going to chuck some money onto my phone and ring up my family and have that massive phone call and say, it's all gone wrong.
Yeah.
Help.
Literally Pete Tong. Sorry.
Literally gone Pete Tong. Pete Tong. Anyway, that didn't need to happen because randomly, I was sitting at Brighton Station. This is no word of a lie. My phone rang. It's from a friend of mine, who I hadn't seen for a year.
Okay.
She rings me up and says, "Hi Pete, sorry to call you." I went, "That's no problem. I'm just calling to see if you know anyone who may want a room."
Perfect.
And I was like, "I want a room." And I said, "Well, I've just landed in Brighton. I've just come down from London."
Yeah.
I said, she lived at the Seven Dials, which is like not far away.
Sure.
And she's really, and I made this complete lie up that my landlord was selling the house and I had to get out quickly. And she went, "Really?" And she said, "Do you want to pop up?" Well, I think I said, "Shall I pop up and say hi?" She went, "It'd be lovely to see you pop up." So I thought, right, here we go. Walked up to see these two. I won't put any names. So I walked up to see them. And before we know it, the beers were flowing. Got to about 2:00 in the morning, and then I was offered to stay. She says, "Do you want to stay in your room?" In brackets.
Yeah.
I went, "Yeah, all right." So I stayed in the room randomly.
Fantastic.
Next day, trained my client, got the cash, put the phone, rang up my mum, had the worst phone call in the world to say, "It's all gone wrong, Mum."
Yeah, you still had that phone call then? Yeah.
I had to because I had 40 quid.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to go anywhere.
No,
but I had to just literally go, "Well, I can't do this again."
Sure.
Because obviously I moved into the house with the premise of paying rent.
Well, of course.
So I had to come up with rent suddenly. So I said, "Yeah, no problem." So anyway, I had this phone call. I went down to Bath. I sat around with my family and just pretty well sort of said, right, this is pretty well what's happened since 2003.
Ouch.
It was an ouch. It was an ouch. And there was tears, and they were more upset. They were more upset that I'd got myself to that point.
You used the word disappointed.
Yeah, just upset that I'd got to myself to that absolute low point without telling them. There was just so, "We can't believe your life was going that way when we had no idea."
Sure.
I was like, "Well, I'm sorry." It was just pride.
Pride, and were they also upset that you hadn't approached them earlier then? I guess?
Massively. And then obviously they were super upset that I spent all the money. Yeah, I mean, I think to this day, I don't think my mum knows I bought the Bentley, but yeah. So, but it's fun. Yeah, not every detail has been, but they don't. No one knows to know everything. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So now this is.
Oh, you can always edit some out if you wish.
No, it's fine. Keep it alive. So now this slowly brings us up to. Now I'm nicking. So basically, I got helped out. I got given some money for rent.
Yeah.
And told very strictly to sort myself out and get a job.
You got to get out of jail free.
Get myself sorted. So I had to get out free, but I had, I got, and I was like,
Good conditions.
totally no. I'm now living with people. I can't be living them for free and not come up rent. So I got given some money to pay the rent, just enough.
Yep.
And I've never, been the sort of person that asks for money off family and stuff. So it was like, right, okay, let's do that.
Sure.
Now, a very heavy partied New Year into 2008.
Okay.
This was quite a party couple.
Right.
So very, very heavy few days into the new year. It got to about the 3rd of January and I was like, I can't be in here anymore. I need to go for a run.
Yeah.
And I went for a run.
Okay.
Now I did a Forrest Gump. I hadn't ran any distance for years.
Right.
I just had to run. I ran out of the 7 Dials, and people won't know where this is, but I ended up running.
So this is 7 Dials is pretty much central
near Brighton Station.
Exactly.
I ran out to the South Downs.
Right.
And now this is pre, phone tracking and I came back and my crew were like, "Have you been running all this time?" I went, "Yeah." And they were like, "Google mapped it." You remember when you used to be able to map your...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I ran 12 miles. My immediate thought was, that's half a marathon. So from that I went, you know what, I'm going to do the London Marathon this year.
And you hadn't done any
I was probably fueled by all sorts of things.
Right, fair enough.
Now the background story to, the other little background story, so that's where I am right now.
12 miles
on the 4th of January. It was something like early January. I'd run 12 miles. I then decided to run the London Marathon that year in April.
Wow.
Now the reason why I decided was because when I was born I had a heart condition, which basically meant it was a murmur, which isn't a massive thing, but it meant me going to hospital. I was only teen. I was like 4 pound 2 when I was born. Tiny little thing. It wasn't premature. I was just tiny. Had a heart problem. I had to go to hospital for the first 18 years of my life, every year to the hospital, get ECG'd up and blipped up and x-rayed, and which I didn't particularly like.
Yeah, sure.
And I had a doctor called Dr. Chamberlain. And on one of my many unhappy visits, he told me, "Don't worry, Pete. One day you'll do the London Marathon. You'll be fine. You'll run that London Marathon."
He told you this at a young age?
He told me I was about 8 or 9. On one of my particularly unhappy visits where I was crying my eyes out, because I used to hate it.
Yeah.
And he told me, one day you'll do the London Marathon. So it was planted by him. I never knew when I was going to do it. I mean, up to that point, I hadn't ran at all.
Sure.
So I didn't know when was I going to do this. And obviously, this was now the time. And I told my housemates this story, and they're like, "This is the time."
Wow.
I managed to get a charity place.
Excellent.
And I trained as much as I could, and within this training time, this is when suddenly, this is if you believe, stay positive, that things will turn out right. Because I always believed things would turn out right. I maintained a positive mind, that I wasn't destined to go completely to the dark side. Which there was a moment where I could have easily rolled over and stayed down there.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I'm not on this planet for this. I'm here for more. So I maintained as much positive as I could. Trained for the marathon, which was probably the best thing I could do. And then I had a random phone call from a random friend who told me about an opportunity working in the country club in the country, funnily enough, who they wanted a manager. I got the job.
Wow.
And then I had all the personal training I wanted.
Wow.
Then off the back of then I ended up staying actually in the country club. They had on-site premises. Well, they actually had this huge, great big metal caravan, something like out of Lethal Weapon, if you remember that one on the beach. The movie. Mel Gibson. I stayed in one of these things. And then I had another random phone call. This is all before April, before the marathon, from another old friend of mine who had just got himself a flat in Brunswick Square, which is one of the nicest squares in Brighton, and they needed a third housemate. And he said, "Are you still living in Brighton?" I went, "I am." I went down and saw this beautiful flat and ended up living in Brunswick Square. He was also he was funny enough on he was self-employed, and he had a bit of bit of a problem with some money, and he had some HP payments on his little sports car.
Okay.
He said, "Can you help me with my sports payments on the payments on my car?" I went, "Yeah, I can actually." So, and this was a week before the London Marathon. So a week before the London Marathon, I was, had this amazing job. I was driving around in this sports car that I owned half of, and I was super fit.
Driving around the seafront and
yeah,
in
exactly.
London. Yeah.
How life changed. And then I did the London Marathon, which was absolutely emotional for me on so many levels because of it's the London Marathon. I'd seen it on TV every Sunday, running down Pall Mall, the crowds, the cheers. And I cried when I went over the finish line because it was such an emotional event anyway. It's 42k, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So physically hard. Did it in 4.5 hours.
That's good. The training's not being a runner and
high percentage of my training was done on a bike as well because just wasn't a runner, so I did a lot of cycling as well. Cried because obviously remember my doctors telling me that one day I'd do it. This was the day. Cried because of where I'd been. And how am I doing this? And suddenly life from that pretty one moment continued in its same vein, and then and then that was the year that I then decided I'm going to be the fittest because I'm a very extreme person.
Okay.
Because I was a bodybuilder, I wanted to be the biggest. When I was partying, I wanted to party the hardest. When I was then I did the London Marathon in 2008. I decided I wanted to be the fittest ever. So that started me on my journey of marathons, ultra events, which we can probably discuss at another time.
Well, I think we'll do we'll at this point pause here and we'll have a part 2. Okay, so you completed
the very emotional London Marathon.
Yeah.
I was beaten for days. I mean, my legs were absolutely shot to bits. I've never known pain like that. Even in my bodybuilding years, my 10 years of being a bodybuilder, smashing my legs up, that run was tough. But so I recovered, and where are we now? 2008, 2009.
Stay with this London Marathon for a moment. How did you? What sort of focus? Sure, you've been training people, you've been motivating people in the gym, and that's fine with weights. Maybe you had...
The interesting thing, actually, it's very interesting. The interesting thing now, it's very hard when you do marathons, it's very easy to get caught up with people running and you not know your own pace. I mean, now, it's different now. Everyone's got Garmin watches and trackers and Strava. This hadn't even been existed I mean, we're only talking 2008, but since 2008 to now, everyone tracks and knows how far their minute miles are, and I didn't have any of that tracking. I've never been very much into tracking and stuff like that.
Sure.
And so I knew how fast, I knew my pace. So I got overtaken by people dressed as toilets and rhinoceroses, but I didn't care. I got passed by Vickers and anybody, but I stuck to my pace, and the focus was each 10 kilometers, because I think, or miles, because I don't know if it's in miles or kilometers, but it tells you how far you've run.
Yes, of course, with the right.
So I just thought, get to 10, I can do 10, get to 20, I can do 20. And in my training, I did about 20 miles, I think.
Okay.
In my training. So the focus was, I think because I had so much emotion behind doing it, to not finish was I couldn't not finish because all that I'd gone through, and there's a lot more to my story, but
very symbolic.
Very symbolic, yeah. So I thought, well, if I got through that, I can get through this. There's no way I was not going to get through it.
Yeah.
And I felt confident enough in my ability, even if I crawled over.
Yeah.
I said to myself, even if I break my leg, which is a stupid thought because it's unlikely to break your leg running, but I even thought I will drag myself over that. It was not it was so the focus was I just want to get that medal I want to get that medal. I want to get that medal, and that was long enough. And I had the doctor in my head going, one day, Pete, you can do it. And he also told me that I was going to be the Barnet Man, because when I was growing up, the $6 Million Man was one of the biggest TV shows. So he also said to me that I was going to be, Steve Austin, because I was always hooked up to this thing. And so the focus was, I just want to get that medal. And I was running for so many little reasons. A, because I was told that I would when I was a kid. B, because I was running out demons, and I was proving to myself, proving to people I could do it. So there was a lot going on. You know, I was running, and there was a lot going on in my head that I hadn't told people why. Because obviously, you know,
right,
so
sure.
I was running with that. So now when I got back to the house, because when you have a chip on your
That's right. Yeah.
on your shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows you, you know, what your times are. My 10-kilometer pace was something like a minute within each 10k. So per 10k, it was about an hour. You know, just under an hour. There, it was almost a minute perfect.
Excellent.
So my pacing was,
right.
I just knew how fast I could run,
Yeah.
like a little metronome.
Without any tracking.
Without tracking, I just
whatsoever.
knew how
Yeah.
fast to run.
Sure.
I didn't get caught up in the wave of people, and I didn't sprint to the end. There's no way. I just literally, it was, and then they were like, you know, they tracked it, and they were like, you were like within a minute of every 10, even the 40k, 30 to 40k was as quick as the 0 to 10k. Because plod, and that's, you know, I'm quite good at that. And that started to sort of think, I'm good at this, just the plod, not necessarily super quick, but
Yeah.
the plod. So that was 2008. 2009, I don't think I did anything 2009. 2010, I decided to cycle from Brighton to Bath on a mountain bike.
Okay. So we're now 2 years. No other running events.
No, I didn't do anything running there.
Didn't continue with any trails or.
No,
any
I didn't.
obstacle?
No, I didn't know. There wasn't any really obstacle courses back then, so
Yeah,
they've only
later
come
on,
out.
yeah, that's
so
true.
no, but I had decided that I was going to do something. But I'd also heard in the pipeline that Brighton was going to run their very first ever full marathon in 2011.
Okay.
And I thought, and also, I didn't. This is another little fact. The 2008 London Marathon was celebrating 100 years of the distance.
All right.
So my actual 2008 medal has 100 years of the marathon distance on it,
And
which
that-
is an amazing medal to have.
Yeah,
And I thought, I
indeed.
can't beat that. And I thought the only one that I'm going to beat is if I do the very first marathon. So my Brighton Marathon is the inaugural Brighton Marathon. I thought it's very rare do you get the opportunity to do the very first of a huge event, and that's how I was there.
So 2000.
Yes, 2009. Yeah, 2010. I decided to cycle
From Brighton.
from
to
Brighton to Bath. I just got up one day pretty well and said, right, I'm going to cycle down to Bath, which is
what distance that?
about 140 miles.
Okay.
Did it on a mountain bike. Was a little bit crazy, but it took me 12 hours. I had this massive backpack on, and I wasn't really good at reading maps. And again, I had a proper map with paper map, not like a phone. I left at 6 a.m. and got down to my mum's at about 6 p.m. That was tough. But again, it was just another little challenge I set myself. And I cycled halfway back as well the next day.
The next day?
Yeah, and
Oh,
I literally
goodness.
collapsed in pretty well, and my
Goodness,
girlfriend had to pick me up and put the bike in the back of her boot. So that was that. 2011 was when I decided to do the Brighton Marathon.
Right.
So I decided to do the Brighton
The very
Marathon.
first.
Which, you know, that brought its own, that was another, you know, and this is something that people could be interested in, because I was working for another sports nutrition company at the time, funnily enough,
Okay.
and as an advisor, and I was in the business, and I ran with the guy who owned the shop. Now, about 4 weeks before the Brighton Marathon, I did an amazing 21-mile run. I mean, literally, I lived in Shoreham at the time.
Yeah.
I literally ran from Shoreham to Rottingdean and back pretty well. I felt amazing. And then the guy I was working with, he hadn't hardly done any training. And he said to me about a week before that, I need to get a run in. I said, look, I can't be doing any long runs. He goes, no, I just need to do a little run. What happened? We ended up running 15 miles.
This is
a 1 week before.
right after you'd already done
21 miles now. So obviously my marathon inexperience and my exuberance. Yeah. We ended up running 15 miles because we weren't properly tracking it, and it just worked out that I was like,
Sure.
that's not good. So basically I had a tough Brighton Marathon.
Yeah.
Did it in about 5 hours. Hated pretty well half of it. But I pretty well got to the pier on the way back.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
about the 12-mile point,
Yeah.
I was hating it. Didn't know if I could carry on.
I know that
Had all my
feeling.
family down. I had my phone in my hand. I even rang them up to say I don't know if I can do it anymore. This was also at the time when right far into the power station at the very first one, there was nothing there.
Oh.
It was like running into a tumbleweed city.
Yeah.
You know, I think the year after that they put loads of stands out there for people, but it was Didn't have a great time. I pretty well stumbled. Kevin, the guy, I name drop now, but it doesn't matter. He'd like hurt his leg, and we pretty well like went over the line like a three-legged race, pretty well. You know, we were on each other's shoulders.
But you did it. You achieved.
I did it, and I achieved it. Now, also crazily, now this is going to sound mental. I had seen in the press over the years this elusive race in the desert called the Marathon des Sables.
Right.
Now there may be people that know this race. It's 6 marathons back to back across the Sahara Desert. Fully self-sufficient, so you have to run with everything on your back other than the tent you sleep in, your food, what you lay on, your food for the week, and it's in 56 degree weather, and it's known as the toughest foot race in the world. I'd always had that as like, ooh. I just kept seeing it in the press over the years. This is even before I'd done the London Marathon.
Okay.
You know, there'd be like a paper article about it. And I
Sure.
and for some reason, it just stayed in my head. This like mythical race in the desert.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't even done the London Marathon at this point, but I knew about it. So off the back of Brighton having a bad, I was like, I'm going to do the Marathon des Sables. Just the way I am, you know. I don't know. It's crazy.
My
It's
goodness.
So I booked it in for 2013.
Okay.
I
So
started running.
let's just get the dates.
Yeah.
Just a
So
reminder.
I did the
of
Brighton
dates.
Marathon in 2011.
That's 2011, and you came to this decision to.
In sometime throughout from sometime after 2011, I kind of thought, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And then I decided to do. I looked into the Marathon des Sables, but it wasn't available until 2013.
So a good 2 years.
So I thought, right. So what I
Right.
did was I booked up the Jurassic Challenge in March 2012,
Okay.
which is 3 marathons back to back,
Right.
trail running along the Jurassic coast.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my 1 year starter to the MDS.
Excellent.
So
How did you get on with the Jurassic, the 3 back to back?
that was you know what? It was again something I'd never ever done before. I'd never done the trails, and I'd certainly never done the ups and downs.
Sure.
Trained for it over the downs, but ran do some beach running, and just bowled up and did it. I think the power of the mind is, and I kind of realised over these kind of few years up to this point that my mind was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of didn't analyse things very much. I just got on with it, and generally was a very positive outlook about, I'll do this.
Sure.
I think if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't.
Sure.
So
Have you always had that? Or
yeah, it seemed, and it kind of just got more involved, you know, all the stuff that had gone on with this life, and then got into these ultra running and the long runs. I started to think, my head's good for this. You know, this is what I'm good at. This long stuff.
This long stuff. What did you do? We're talking about your head was in a good place. Obviously, when you're doing long runs, there's a lot of thinking time. So, what on earth did you do?
You know,
in your head.
In my head, I would think about future.
Okay.
Never think about past.
Right.
Never dwelled on anything. I'm a future boy.
Okay.
Never dwelled on what happened. What happened. Can't change it. Done.
Sure.
We could all dwell on that, and I think people spend too much time thinking about what's happened. It's done. You know, it's literally physically impossible to change what is done, unless we get, we can buy a DeLorean and go back in time. But we haven't invented time machines. But who'd want to go back anyway?
Well, who knows?
So I've always been very futuristic in my head. So I think about, when I was running, I'm thinking about doing this, and so when I'm doing the Jurassic run, I'll be thinking about the this is my training for the desert, and I'll be dreaming about running across the desert.
So had you done ultra marathons leading up to the Jurassic one?
No.
Oh, right. So you're doing this Jurassic, you complete that. First day,
took 6-7 hours. Each day is good, because you're up and down. I mean, it's a longer day.
Sure.
And it is ultra running. So suddenly you're in a world where everything's running a bit slowly.
Yeah.
Somebody just said ultra running is an excuse just to eat all day. Because it's like you had feed stations, wow, and you had like cake and sweeties and jelly babies and flapjacks and it's like wow, and you had that relatively regularly. I was like, this is amazing. I love this ultra running. And on ultra running, and generally an ultra marathon is something considered longer than a marathon. So these were about 26.9 and then 27, 28. They were roughly. They weren't, because they were off road, so they weren't going to be exact.
Right.
At the end, I woke up on the second day. My legs were in bits, and I was like, I don't know, how am I going to run another 26 miles?
Yeah, exactly.
And people were like, Pete, your legs will be fine. You run an hour in, and you'll have your best race. I'm like, really? Do you know what? That learnt me so much. I had the best day on the second day. My legs felt amazing. Had the best day. I was like, wow, that learnt me a lot about muscle ache and how muscles repair and running on achy muscles.
Any ice baths and that?
No, literally. No, we came back, had a beer.
Had a beer?
Yeah, we did.
What, massage? Did you cramp up?
No, had a beer and had some food, and then went to bed early, got up and did it. Third day wasn't pleasant, I must admit. That third marathon was really brutal.
Sure.
Legs were in bits at that point, but still did it.
Right.
And then it was really end of the Jurassic Challenge, full blown, and I was always, when you book a massive event, it consumes you.
Yeah.
All I could think about was the desert. Every day I woke up with the desert. And
you'd been to the States, you'd said Texas,
yeah.
So
California,
had you seen much similar terrain or experienced much?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
So I basically ended up finding a guy who was an MDS expert who lived down in Wales. I hooked up with him, and he gave me some amazing advice and basically said, Pete, you live in England, all right, end of the day, you could do heat shaping training, you could go to Tenerife for a week, don't bother. He said it's never going to replicate the desert. The desert is a unique beast. And if anything, you could go and run in Tenerife for a week and hate it.
Okay.
And there'll be more humidity in Tenerife than will be in the desert anyway, because there's no humidity in the desert. So unless you go to the desert before the desert and run in the desert to test you out, he said your best bet is to have no idea what's going to happen. You don't want to because he knew people that went to, say, Canaries and Tenerife for a week,
yeah,
and replicated a week of running with a backpack on,
sure,
and hated it.
Okay.
And like, oh god, this is so hard. And then of course you're thinking, if this is hard, what's that going to be like? So when you're going into something with like a predisposed idea now, better go into be fresh and almost I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So the best thing you can do is get yourself as fit as possible. So when you're standing on the start line, you know you're fit.
Right.
What happens
from then
on, you're kind of a luck of the gods anyway. He says, trust me, Pete, I've known top runners failing in the MDS because of the environment. He said, you could just be fit and just deal with it. And that's what happened. So I beach ran, I really put a strong year together. Ran along the beach with my backpack on, had some 10 kilo backpack, did fell running, downs running, went on the treadmills for 3 hours on the treadmills.
Wow.
Incline treadmill walking.
Where were you working at this stage?
Yeah, I was working at the gym.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I got the job in 2011 at the gym.
Uh-huh.
And so that took me right up to the day of the desert, which I guess we could maybe talk about.
Well, there's a lot to
which is another whole
thing
to talk about. The day of the Marathon des Sables, which was phenomenal. I survived.
We'll talk about that perhaps in a bite size. We can talk that about in a bite size. Yeah. Drill down into how on earth you managed it. Certainly with what.
There's a lot to talk about on that, but we can overview it quite easily. So I did the MGS in 2013, 2014. I decided to do the Race of the Stones, which is 100 kilometres down in the Wiltshire.
Which still must have been a hell of a lot easier than running in a desert.
No, it was ridiculously hard. I hadn't run 100k in one day.
Oh, in one day?
In one day.
Right.
So that was a crazy day, and that ended. That I did that one reason because it was a great looking event. And B, it was the finish line was about 2 miles from my family home. It was down in Wiltshire. So that was in 2014. 2015, I did one of the Tour de France stages. Now I decided at this point I didn't want to do any more running anymore.
Okay. But you'd always kept up with your
I'd always cycled, and I bought a road bike in 2012.
Okay.
And I started to love the road bike, and I thought there's no runs I want to do anymore at the moment. I now want to be a really long distance cyclist. So I got to know a very good friend of mine who was a client who's now a very good friend, who's a triathlete, and he told us about an event called the Etape, which is basically one of the Tour de France stages that anybody can do. It's a week before the actual Tour de France. It's always in the mountains. So in 2015 we decided it was ridiculous. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. A single day was absolutely mental. So that was what I did in 2015. 2016, I didn't do a lot in last year. No, but that's last year. Yeah. So 2016, I just trained a lot. I got myself physically very strong. I got back into weight training again because I kind of let that lapse a little bit. So I got myself physically very strong, and I've just been concentrating on gotten very good on the bike, and that brings us into this year. where I just want to, I want to do Land's End John O'Groats on the bike, and then I potentially want to do a world record at the end of the year into next year.
There's the whirlwind.
There's a little whirlwind about Pete. Sorry, that sounds really kind of like up myself, talking about myself there.
No, I deliberately wanted to quiz you on your experience, and I don't want you to feel that you've just been egotistical and just talking about yourself. There's a lot there that hopefully some of the listeners will resonate with. That not all personal trainers come out of a personal training.
But what the interesting thing was in the desert,
Yeah.
which when I was in, you meet friends for life there, and you suddenly realise when I was shed this tent for 10 days, because you're out there for longer than the race, because you've got to be out there for acclimatisation. So I had these tent mates, and not just my tent mates that I shared the tent with, but it was meeting other English people and other people in tents, who all had a bit of a similar background to me. I suddenly realised, some had kind of partied and needed to put their obsession,
the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah,
style.
it's a little bit of that. Like, I need to go and do this. I need to do this. And there was many that had this crazy history of partying. Some had an abusive relationship. Some had. There's a very lots of similar stories of excessive behaviour in some level that needed to come to an end. And a lot of people they ran because they needed, they got out of the house because they needed to run. They needed to clear their head on. I was, getting, abusive relationships. I just used to run. I was an alcoholic, so I just needed to run. I used to take loads of drugs, so I just needed to run. So loads of the people that do these extreme sports are quite extreme people.
I see.
And I thought, well, I'm quite extreme. So I suddenly was surrounded by people that, suddenly I was like, I feel alright now. And like the backgrounds of these was like, so you did that? It's like, yeah, and you did that. Yeah, and that happened to you. Yeah, and you're doing this race because of Wow.
Were there any fit pros, shall we say, the traditional?
Yeah, you got your top,
athletes.
You got your top athletes.
Yeah,
those are athletes. It's like one of those. You compete or you complete.
Okay.
2 words.
Yeah. Another take.
The Marathon des Sables. No, that's another. Yeah, you can complete or compete. The Marathon des Sables, I wanted to complete it.
Yeah.
I wanted to live it. But okay, we'll talk about it on another time. But yeah, so you got your guys that will literally compete it, and they'll try and get top 10, top 3, top 4.
And mindset wise, were you still able to kind of relate to that? I know you were very much a people person anyway.
Yeah, I mean that took all my mind, because there were some dark days on that race that I've never had before.
Okay.
Because the extremes that you're in, and
I think
there's no hiding away.
With those extremes, there's probably camaraderie anyway. So it doesn't.
I pretty well ran with one girl through the whole time we shared, and sometimes we just ran maybe 10 foot within each other, just knowing we were there. And then sometimes you didn't want to talk. You just needed to be in your own little world for a little bit. And then I remember running along this plain with this. Obviously, it was a flatbed. It was obviously a lake at one point, but not lately. And it was very, 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 very hot, and you felt like you were in an oven. The heat just bounced off this very white floor up onto your face, as well as the heat from the sun, and you felt very tiny. You felt like a little speck.
Yeah.
And both of us, I remember we were just running, and I knew she was behind me, but didn't want to talk, didn't need to talk, didn't want to ask if she was alright, knew she was there. And then we both suddenly, I don't know how long it was, don't even know the time frame, but suddenly we were like, you alright? Yeah, you? Yeah. Oh wow, that was quite tough, wasn't it? Yeah, you? Yeah, really tough. And we suddenly like almost came out of this little weird bubble of pain together, and then we suddenly almost wanted to talk. Yeah. And then we knew we were coming up to the checkpoint. We're like, wow, that was hot, wasn't it? It's hot. You feel alright? Take your salt tablets. Yeah, I've been taking my salt tablets. And that was that. And then we carried on, and that little bit. So we didn't chat the whole way because you couldn't.
Does that event changed you at all?
Yeah, it changed me.
And you still keep in contact with?
I've made friends. Yeah, and Susie's now, she's now a prolific ultra runner now. So she's actually just finished the desert again. She actually went out for the 3rd time this year.
For the third time
this year, 3rd time. Yeah, she did it. Literally just got back a few days ago. Last Monday she got back.
My goodness. Would that?
I'm gonna go back again. Yeah, because a friend of mine wants to do it. The guy that I did the Tour de France stage with.
Yeah.
He fancies the desert, so I'm gonna wait until he's done his triathlon stuff, and I need to do my biking stuff first.
Sure.
We'll go back and revisit the desert again, because it's a magical place, but it can take you. If you're not sure, it can take you.
Wow. Okay, well. We've covered plenty there.
We covered a lot there. I hope there's some bits in there that people can be thoughtful about.
Okay. So, and we've just mentioned your plans for ahead.
We can discuss some of that and your future plans as well, about after your marathon experience, what you potentially fancy doing going forward. So, more to talk about, I believe.
Indeed. Pete, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Really
Thanks
appreciate
for the questions.
it.
Thank you for the allowing me to open up.
And we'll be back again with more bite size. We'll perhaps not so much of a long personal journey, but I still think it's important.
Well, it's the background, and people know. Well, maybe feel like they know a little bit more than what we know.
Sure. So another topic, more about
fitness
and
health, nutrition,
and well-being. All right, thanks,
Until
guys.
Next time. Bye.
Bye. And there we have it, the story of PT Pete so far. If you want to connect with Peter, you can contact him via email at pete@ptpete.com. Instagram, it's ptpete150. Feel free to send me a message if you like. And I hope you enjoyed that, because Peter and I are going to be continuing our shorter podcasts, more bite-sized. So that'll be a separate series of podcasts independent of this one. In the meantime, thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode, which features another colourful fitness individual. Thanks again.